Welcome to the New Author Podcast, a weekly podcast diary starring Jerry Evanoff and Rich Casey. Join them weekly as they talk about writing, publishing, and marketing their books. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Author Podcast. Today is Monday, December 29th, 2025, Rich. We are at the end of 2025 here. This
hard to believe.
It's so hard to believe. This is going to be episode number 340 of the podcast. I am one of the hosts, Jerry Evanoff, and with me, back in his home after driving all over the United States, kind of, is Rich Casey. Rich, how are you?
I'm doing well, and primarily because the Lions finally put me out of my misery. I don't even have to worry about it anymore, and without skipping a beat, I'm switching my allegiance over to the Bears. So
You can't do that. No,
I'm doing
that's
that.
like me saying I'm a Steelers fan. Oh God.
Oh, I saw the Browns took it to the Steelers the other day. So
They did, and you know, I don't know how to feel about it because as a Browns fan this time of the year, I'm really rooting for the best draft order. But it is fun to knock the Steelers, not out of the playoffs, but make it so that they get knocked out next week by Baltimore.
Right.
There's a very funny post Baltimore wrote on their Twitter at the Cleveland Browns, thanks. And the Cleveland Browns replied, "We didn't do that for you," which is great. I love when they do that. Yeah. So that's great. So, well, we're going to talk about football. In fact, I'm going to talk about it right now, briefly, before I get into my stats here for the last time for 2025. Tonight is probably my most important football game in the history of my fantasy football career. It is these Los Angeles Rams against somebody. I think the Bears. The
Bears. Yeah.
And I have running back Blake Corum, who is kind of a backup running back, but he gets about as much time as their starter, Kyron Williams. And in my big money league, I am in fourth place. I'm currently getting paid nothing, which is really depressing. Like, it is very, very depressing that I had 10 really good weeks of being the best team in the league and then just slowly over time faded like crazy. But
so what you're saying is you're like the Lions. So.
I am, well, kind of. Speaking of, who did Baltimore play? That wasn't the Lions. That was, no. I don't remember who Baltimore played, but Baltimore played somebody on Thursday night. Did you happen to see any of that?
Yeah, I did, but I can't remember either.
Derrick Henry had 35 carries for 220 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Oh, they played the Packers. Yeah.
Yes. And Derrick Henry's on that team of mine. And because of that performance, I escalated myself back into the possibility of doing something. And again, as of right now, I'm fourth, but I'm only 23 points out of first place. The guy in the first place guy has nobody tonight. The guy in second has Matthew Stafford. The guy in third has nobody, and I have Blake Corum. And I'm about 13 points out of third place, which pays like maybe $1,200. Mm-hmm. So I have a chance at third place. If I get a good thing out of Blake Corum, I have a chance at second place. And if Matthew Stafford doesn't throw any touchdowns and Blake Corum runs them all in, I have a chance at first place. It's a very, very outside chance. But first place is 7,200. Second place is 3,200. Third place is around 1,000, maybe 1,200, something like that. And then fourth place is you get paid nothing. So I could literally go from being the best team in the league to getting paid nothing, which is probably what's going to happen because, I would be surprised.
Is this the last game in the?
Yes.
Okay.
No more games this week, and no more. This is the last week of the playoffs. Week 17 is the last week. Okay. So I'm going to have it on while we're podcasting. It won't be on for about maybe a half an hour, 45 minutes. But this is a very important game. I also have another league with them that I paid $250 to get into. I'm currently in first, and the guy behind it pays $1,300 for first place, and the guy in second place has 2 players, and he's about 50 points behind me. So it's possible, but that's a lot of points. So
right.
A lot going on tonight on this game, and what sucks worse is that I'm really, really tired, and I'll talk about why I'm really, really tired. So I don't think I'm going to make it to the end of this. Yeah.
So, I guess I can't really root for the Bears because I'd be rooting against you.
You can't.
But if I root for the Bears, I'd be also rooting against the other guy in your league who's got Stafford. So
that's true, but in order for what I need all rushing touchdowns and no passing touchdowns.
So what you really need is for Stafford to go down in the first quarter and then for them to have to rely on the run game. I
don't want to root for injuries, Rich. I don't. But if it happened for just like one game, he's just out one game. He hurts his pinky. Right. He can play next week. I wouldn't be against it. Like, I'm not rooting for it, but I wouldn't be against it if it happened. I would be like, oh, that stinks.
Okay.
Now hand the ball off over.
Okay.
So
We'll
anyway,
have to walk that tightrope.
That's all it is. It's tightrope of I need this to happen and this not to happen and this not. It sucks. I'm actually kind of glad that it's going to be. This has been so stressful the last 6 weeks because my team is fading, and it's been so stressful just hanging on. And I was in first place 2 weeks ago. I dropped the third. I dropped the fourth, and then Derrick Henry did what he did Thursday night, giving me a chance. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what I'll be watching tonight. I'm very excited. I'm also very nervous, and I'm so happy that I'll be happy tomorrow morning. Regardless of what happens, I'm just going to be happy that it's over. So, and then I can't wait to go next year. So,
yeah.
All right, let me jump into my stats here for 2025. I really don't have anything new. I haven't done any new words. I'll talk about book 2 here in a little while. I didn't have a goal from last week either, our last podcast. So I'll just give you my final word count from the year was 161,415 new words. And that was above the 145,000 word goal that I had set. And then my final words per hour was 1,287, which I think is about 150 words more than it was at the end of the previous year, which makes me very happy. So those are my 2 big goals going into 2026.
Yeah. And the same thing with me. I did absolutely nothing the last 10 days except holiday related stuff. So I'm still at the 263,000, I think, maybe 64,000 words on the year. And I surpassed my goal of 240,000. So I was happy with it.
Yeah. So we had good years. We had good years. Yeah. We came out of this year, both of us, with manuscripts, as they say, that we now have something to work off of, which is nice. Right. So I'm going to get into my recap of the last week and a half or so since the last time we podcast. I'm not going to get too heavily into the non-writing stuff because we're going to talk about our 2026 goals at the end of this podcast. I want to make sure we save some time for that. But I will talk about some things that happened writing-wise that we're kind of excited. A lot of it revolves around the fact that I've been working on this new writing app for, almost every day, sometimes for hours every day. For the last couple of weeks. The big thing that I did early on, which was the day after you and I recorded, I worked from home and then I spent some time in the evening and at lunch continuing to set it up so that it would save to an actual database instead of to the local browser. That way I could put it up online and I could use it from anywhere, just like a regular app. Mm-hmm. And that took some time, but I did do that. And I worked on setting up my story Bible. I really want to edit book 3 inside of this app. I kind of like to edit book 2 inside this app, but I really like to edit book 3 inside of this app. That's kind of what I'm working toward, is to have it ready right around the time that I'll be working on book 3. I'm not sure, but I feel like I'm getting close, especially with the progress I've made over the last couple of weeks. So what I will do though is similar to what you were doing with the app you're using. What's that app called that you're using?
Wavemaker.
And you said that a lot of times you'll copy things out of there and copy it somewhere else just to make sure you have a backup of it.
Yeah, basically, I'll mention this later too, but I basically archiving things into Scrivener just to be sure I don't lose it. So,
and I will 100% be doing the same thing with this app if I decide to use it. And just because who knows, it's beta. I'm beta testing. I actually created you an account because I did text you and asked if you wanted to. Now it's not online yet. As soon as it gets online, I'll send you an email with. You just log in with your email, and then I made a password for you that you can change if you want. But and you can just look around at it if you want. It is connected to your open router, so you would go in and put your API key in there. And now you can use your open router stuff on the AI side. Okay, great. A lot of time with this thing. In the evening, I did play my golf game, and then I did. That was the first YouTube video that I'd made for weeks because I was sick. Remember, I had that stupid cough the last time we talked. And then I ended up watching the entire Seahawks-Rams Thursday night game. It was fun. Again, fantasy league stuff, a lot of it, but it was fun. It went into overtime, and Seattle won like 39-38 or so with a 2-point conversion in overtime. Like, it was a lot of fun of a game. And then Friday, work from home, nothing exciting. And then Saturday, my sister was in town. She came into town the weekend before Christmas because her husband is back from Kuwait, and he wanted to spend Christmas in his new house, which he has not seen yet. So they came up the weekend before. We exchanged our gifts. We didn't open anything, but we exchanged gifts. And then on Saturday afternoon, I had lunch with her and her friends. There's about 3 of her really good friends going back to our high school days. And again, I was really good friends with them too. So she invited me, and it was, me and her and Lindsay and Jeremy and Paris and Kian, and then her friends. One of them is married, brought her kids along also. So there were about 15 of us, and we went to Rockneys, which is what Lindsay loves. And had a good time. We were there for a couple of hours. The waitress did think that her me and one of her friends were together as she gave the bill to us. And I said, let me see the bill. And I go, my food's on here. She put my food on our bill, thinking her and I are together. And she said, well, that means you're paying, but I'm not, and I apologize for the language. She said, I'm not putting out. And I handed the bill back to her and said, well, then you pay. I'm not going with this. And so anyway, it was kind of funny. But so that was a good time. And then I came home for about an hour, and then I wrapped some gifts, and then went over to my parents that evening for dinner, which was pizza and chicken and some fun stuff. And then again, Lindsay and Jeremy Key and Paris were there. We kind of hung out for a few hours there, which was nice. It's good to see him. Hadn't seen him in a while, especially Jeremy. Hadn't seen him in a long time. And then Sunday, basically I just watched football and worked on my writing app all day. Got it working with the database, got everything saving correctly, set up the username and password for it so that I could, if other people want to beta test it or whatever, they can. And then in the evening, Sunday night, I received my developmental edit back from Super Editor C. I did not open the document. I just opened the email. And if I could just read the email, she said, it's not a short report, but the length makes it seem worse than what I think you should do. She said, you didn't tell me what parts of this are important for the next book. So if you want to do any brainstorming, she's here, and she's fantastic. I mean, I've sent her emails back and forth, all kinds of fun stuff. I mean, she'll just answer any question I have. She's kind of like ChatGPT. At no point has she said, stop asking stupid questions. And she just answers them. Now, she does not tell me that my ideas are great like ChatGPT does. Apparently, it's the opposite. But, she does continue to
that
take
costs extra.
Yeah, exactly. It was very funny. I don't know if did you look at it?
I did.
So at the end of it, let's not get into it yet. We'll get into it in a while. But I will say at the very end of it, she wrote, I'm trying to open it really fast here while I talk. Again, it was 20. There were 2 documents. The first one was basically my manuscript back with editor notes, but they weren't copy editor notes. They were more like developmental. She'd highlight a whole paragraph and give notes on it, why I shouldn't do this here, or why it's, I was going to say why it's good or why it's bad, but I don't think there was anything in there that was good. Okay, hold on. Here it is. And then she ended, and then the second one was a report, a Word document report. It was 23 pages, I believe it was. And at the very end of it, she wrote, she said, you can take a chance on some of the stuff as it's written, blah, 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 blah. And then she goes, hope you contact me again, smiley face. She said, I'm here to help if you want a sounding board. And I wrote back to her almost immediately and said, I really enjoyed the fact that you wrote, hope you contact me again, because listen, if I had your phone number, I'd be texting you nonstop about this book. I will be contacting you again. You can bet that's true. So, but again, this Sunday night, I hadn't opened anything. I just didn't want to deal with it at the time. Monday, I worked from home. I played my golf game at lunch. I worked my writing app in the evening, all while avoiding the developmental edit, which I still didn't want to open yet. Tuesday,
that takes an amazing amount of willpower not to dive into those things and just to see what they say.
Tuesday, I played my bowling game, put it on YouTube, all while avoiding the developmental edit because I wanted to do it on Christmas Eve. And the reason I wanted to do it on Christmas Eve is because I was off work and I had a big amount of time where I could sit and go through everything. So on Christmas Eve, I did continue to work on my writing app early in the morning. I knew I was dropping my dog off at my mom and dad's at 8:30. I got it probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I sat for an hour before I showered, just again, working on this app. And I'm literally, I'm not going to pretend here. I'm literally using ChatGPT to write this. I'm writing very little code. If I see something that needs corrected, I'm correcting it. But I'm having ChatGPT do everything. I have 6 different communications or conversations with ChatGPT because the first one got so long that it gets bogged down. So then I ask it for a prompt for the next one, and then I go all the way through the next one. And I'm now on conversation number 6 as it does this.
Well, what you just said live on air, you probably should not get around at work.
No. Oh, you say that, but my work loves AI. Really? I have a ChatGPT account through my work because they want us to use it. There was a lunch and learn a couple of weeks ago where the bigwigs, the bosses got in there and said, here's what we do with it. Here's what we think you should do. Like they love it. And it's because it speeds things up. It's great. Right. I mean, I can't argue with that. Well, the only thing I don't do with it is write. Everything else I do with it.
That slowly but surely, it's sucking all the knowledge of programming out of your brain. It'll leave you an empty husk at the side of the road.
My boss told me that one day. We were talking about it. He said, my only concern is people are going to forget how to research how to program things.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, yeah, you might be right, but why do we have to?
Right. Well,
So yeah. So anyway, so I continued working on my writing app in the morning, showered, I went to Chick-fil-A, and I went to the casino. I hadn't been to a casino since my birthday. And I got in there, I put I had $40 in cash from the girl, Lindsay's friend, who gave me cash to cover because I paid our check with my card. So she gave me $4 in cash. And then I stopped and got $60 out of the ATM. So I walked in with $100 and what was it? I played it down for a while. Then I'm like, I don't want to leave yet. It was only $60 I took out of my bank. Let's take 100 more. Took 100 more out. And as I'm playing and I'm spinning and losing, I'm remembering why I haven't been to the casino since my birthday. It's really no fun anymore. It used to be fun. The bonuses, I hit 2 bonuses. One was like $11, one was $15. I mean, I'm playing max bet and the bonuses are like $11 and $15.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for the machines, really.
Right.
And then finally I was down to like 10 or $12. And I hit 6 quick hits for $186. Played it down to like 173. So the way I look at it is I took 174 out of the ATM and I put 173 back in. And if you add the fees and things, I ended up down $18. However it worked out. I ended up down $18. And then I went, okay, I'm leaving and I'm probably not coming back for a long time. So it's nice to remind myself every now and then why I don't like going back.
Right.
Then afterward, I went to Chick-fil-A. This is where I dove into my developmental edit. Again, lots of suggestions. Now, most of the suggestions she gave me, and I'll get your thoughts on this. Maybe I'm missing something here. But most of the suggestions she gave me seem to be setting up a lot of stuff at the beginning of the story with how I'm doing it. But she did have some issues with the subplot of the cold case murder with how I set it up, how it was found. I mean, pretty much every step of the way, how I did it. She also didn't like the part, and this is one thing that's really, I'm struggling with this. I'm trying to make the murderer very sympathetic. I don't want to write 9 books in this series where I gather 10 people in a room, I point out who did it, that person's evil, they get arrested, they go to jail, and everyone's happy. I feel like that's boring if you do it too many times in a row. So book 1, I did that. So in book 2, I'm trying to make her more sympathetic. She admits it. She's sad about it. But her boyfriend is the one who's actually doing the arguing. And this is a friend of Sam's. And she said, boy, some of the things that she did throughout this story, hiding a 19-year-old murder, making the parents suffer, some other things that she did in terms of killing the wrong person at one point. She's not a nice person. You can't make her a sympathetic person. That I don't think the readers are going to like that. You have to work on this and you have to make her evil. And the thing that bugs me the most is my writer's group essentially said the same thing. Right. So everybody's right here except me. I'm the wrong one here. It's bugging me. It's driving me crazy because I really like this character and I want to make her a little bit more sympathetic, but it's probably going to have to get changed.
You know, realistically, in these kinds of stories, the reader expects the villain to be villainous. I mean, you know, it's very rare that you get anybody that's sympathetic. In fact, you know, it's usually the opposite, whereas you normally have a sympathetic protagonist. You know, these can slip into noir where even the protagonist isn't sympathetic. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a problem if you're thinking of it as a problem.
I just really like the character.
Oh, okay.
Because speaking of what you just said about the protagonist not being sympathetic, I have this, and this wasn't in her developmental edit. She left it out. And when I wrote back to her, I said, you know, speaking of the things that you want to know what's carrying over, and I went through like all the things I'm writing in the books. I told her it's a 9-book series. You know, I've got certain characters, like she said that, you know, Scott is a character that gets introduced in this book. And what does she call him? A sword carrier, I think was the term she used, where it's like you have characters that are just there and they don't really contribute much. There's a couple characters I have that are doing that, including Scott. Well, Scott, we learn a little bit about him. And then book 5, it's all about him. So I'm trying to introduce him, introduce the fact that he's got a scar under his eye that we don't know about. We'll learn about that in book 5. And she says, well, he's got to be doing something. Yeah. So, which I guess makes sense. I never really thought about that. I started thinking about some of the Poirot's that I watch, and none of the characters are just there. They're all somehow involved. Even if it's like, oh, look, there's this detective that we meet for the first time. Oh, and he helps Poirot. Right. And, you know, I have certain characters that don't do that. So I'm really going to think about how to, she gave some suggestions, but I'm going to work on that a little bit.
Well, and, you know, and speaking of Poirot, the classic character like that in the Poirot stories is Miss Lemon. She doesn't do
100%.
anything anything with the murders usually. In fact, I can't think of one where she did really do anything with the murders.
I can think of one.
Well, I can actually, now that I said that, I can think of one.
I'll bet you she's more involved than we remember in every single one of them that she's in.
Well, what she is involved is she's got this little storyline of her own going on the side.
Yeah,
in terms of
organization,
efficiency, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, your character doesn't necessarily have to be involved in the main plot, but just give them a little bit of something that they're doing that will carry through the stories.
And speaking of my main character not being a good person, I have the kiss scene that I really, really like between the main character and the murderer halfway through the book. And I wrote to her in there, I'm like, I really worked on this. I don't want the readers to come off thinking of him as a scumbag, which is the exact way. And she basically wrote back and said, yeah, they're going to. In the US, your women readers, which is the majority, are not. Cheating is like the worst thing. She said, you spend a lot of time with him talking about Danny and how much he likes her, and it's a new relationship, he's so excited about, and then you have him lusting after this other girl in the beginning of the book, which I never really looked at it as him lusting. I guess it makes sense when she said it. Right. And then I have this kiss scene, and she's like, you really need to think about what you're doing there.
Right.
So I'm probably gonna cut a lot of that. I don't think I'm gonna cut the kiss scene, but I might change. If I make her evil, then I'm probably gonna change it to where she's trying to seduce him and he backs off.
Yeah. Oh, that would make a lot of sense. But yeah. I would take her advice as a woman on that, definitely.
100%. Yeah. Oh yeah. And she, as a woman, as an editor, she knows the genre. I mean, she has every single thing in her that she knows, and I have nothing. So I'm going to take her advice on this.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So there's a lot of work to be done. I started taking notes. I didn't do any. I was there for probably 3 hours. I did no editing, no rewriting. I literally just started taking notes. In my Scrivener, I have 3 documents. One of them is just kind of overall changes. One of them is the kiss scene and how to change that. And another one is the Juliet subplot murder and how to change that. I just started taking a bunch of notes. The first thing I did, by the way, was, 23 pages was a lot to go through. So I actually loaded it into Notebook LM, and I just said, this is from my editor. It's a developmental edit. Could you please summarize everything she said about the Juliet subplot? And it gave me like 10 bullet points. And I said, can you summarize everything else she gave me? And now that gave me a starting point. Those are what I pasted into Scrivener. And then I went through the documents and made sure that it didn't miss anything. I kind of organized them, I just need that starting point from Notebook LM is fantastic. Notebook LM is really, really good at not missing stuff. Yeah. So that worked out really well.
When I went through there, as you said at the beginning of this, that the major impression I got from her notes was that she did not like the setup at all, and that it wasn't intriguing enough. It didn't grab a reader's attention enough, and it all goes back to that old saw that for any story at all, the first sentence, the first paragraph, and the first page—that's the most important part of everything.
We'll talk about the first sentence because I have a good first sentence. I actually sent it to her. She likes it, edited it a little bit, but I don't understand the concept of having a good first sentence because in my experience, I've never shut down a book because I didn't like the first sentence. Never.
Yeah.
So does it have to be this hooky, grab the reader thing? I don't know. Everybody says yes. Every writing thing you see says yes. But I've never shut down a book because I didn't like the first sentence. So I have no idea.
I think a lot depends on, number one, what genre you're in. Because obviously, if you're writing a literary novel, then nobody expects the first sentence to grab you.
Sure.
But if you're writing a thriller, then something has to happen in that first sentence or the first 2 sentences. In fact, after I read that thing that she wrote you, and I started thinking about my first sentence in the thriller, and decided in the first paragraph, in the first scene, I decided I've got to change it completely because it is not grabby enough. Where's I going with this? Oh, but luckily enough, a good first sentence did pop into my head. That could start.
Oh, good.
So
good. So Thursday was Christmas Day. Christmas Eve, we do the thing that we do, which is go see the extended family. We have our Chinese auction. There's about 20 people there. And they're my dad's cousins, but we just call them my cousins because they're a year, 3 years, and 5 years older than me. and they all have kids. And they've all been coming to this thing since their kids were tiny. And we're sitting upstairs at one point, and Bob says to one of his kids, "Hey, it's out there by your car." And I just went, "Bob, you can't say to those kids, it's out there by your car. That makes me feel so old." And his brother Ken, who's a year older than me, started counting. He goes, "Of the 8 kids here, 6 of them have their driver's license, and one of them is 21 but doesn't." And I'm like, "Would you please stop?" Which was just weird. So it was a great time. I mean, I love going. It's across town, and it's my dad's Aunt Susie, and we've been doing this for 20 years, longer than that even, and it is so much fun. So I that's my favorite part of Christmas, is that Christmas Eve at Aunt Susie's. Christmas Day, Thursday, nothing writing related. My parents in the morning, open presents for breakfast, and then come home for a few hours where I worked on my writing app, and then back over there for dinner. And that's kind of what we do. Then I come home and watch football. Friday, I worked from home. This is where I did get a return email from Super Editor C talking about my story. A bunch of questions I had for her, including the kiss and things like that. It didn't. So I'm looking at this in kind of 3 ways. I have a lot of changes, a lot of little changes at the beginning to just get things a little better. Then I have the Juliet subplot that has a lot of changes, but I don't think I have to change a lot of the plot. I just have to change little things here and there to make it a little different, like where the body was or how she died. But most of the stuff's already written, so I just have little changes here and there. And then the big one is the kiss between Sam, and do I make Madison evil? I'm probably going to end up doing that. It's going to hurt me. I'm looking at it as a kind of an Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader type of situation where the new Madison is not the old Madison. It's 2 different characters. I can still like the old Madison, but I'm just going to turn her into Darth Vader and make her evil, and she's that kind of. It's kind of how I'm looking at it. So, and I actually have somebody in real life that I can pattern her after, which makes me very happy. So that'll make it a little bit easier to write her as evil, and I won't get into who it is because probably be kind of insulting to that person if they found out.
I was going to say, I've got a whole black book full of ex-girlfriends that would work.
There you go.
So.
There you go.
Yeah.
So let's see. Lunch, no writing on Friday, and then had some dinner and went to the couch Friday night. Saturday. So this is now where I'm going to finally, this is a couple days ago. This is where I'm finally going to dive into all these changes. But first, I did wake up around 7, kept working on my writing app. What I'm doing with this writing app is I'm not looking at it as you're writing a book. I'm looking at it as the way that I'm writing, which is I'm writing a series. Your main page is called your series workspace, where over on the left side, you create books. Right. And you have chapters and documents inside each book, and then you have series documents underneath it. On the right side of the screen, you've got an AI drawer, you've got notes, you've got a story Bible section, a quick story Bible section. But then I added something different to it, which is a mystery section where you can go in and you can put your different plot points in, your clues, your red herrings, and then you can mark whether they have been resolved or not. This is something that I always want to do when I'm writing these first drafts, but I'm too lazy to like open up some other document. I don't do it in Scrivener because in Scrivener, it's not connected. Each chapter is separate from each chapter, so you can't really connect it. I have a story grid I could use, but I never go back and put that stuff in. Having it all on one screen, I think, is going to help me use that while I'm editing a lot more.
Right.
And then I went to Chick-fil-A again and started my rewrite. Again, this is where I organize everything in Notebook LM. Asked her a bunch of questions, and then I began redoing the hook. So this is my old hook. Do I even have it in here? I don't think I have it in here. No. So the old hook was basically something to the effect of, it's always sad when a father sets up a son and then pulls the rug out from under it, something like that. But I started looking up, like I'm staring at a page now, going, I don't know what a hook, what do I do? So I start researching the hook, and you're supposed to come up with, basically you establish the point of view, you establish the theme, couple of things you do there. And this is what I came up with. Carrie Lane had said goodbye at the hospital, cried at the grave, and sat down tonight to hear his father's words one last time before taking the Savannah Palms golf course into his own hands. And I thought, this is pretty good. I think this is good. So I sent it to her. And while I was there, she wrote back to me and she said, it's good. It's really good. It's you just need to get rid of that last section because that makes like your main character or your POV character, Carrie, that makes him look selfish, like he's elbowing his brothers out of the way to take the golf course. That's not who he is. He's a good guy. He's not a bad guy. So I turned it into Carrie Lane had said goodbye at the hospital, cried at the grave, and sat down tonight to hear his father's words one last time. And then it goes right into the will reading of I, Emmett Lane, being of sound mind and body. So it kind of works really well that way.
Yeah, that's good.
So I was very happy with that. I was very happy to be able to come up with something like that. And then I combined chapters 1 and 2. This is something she said, have the murder happen at the end of chapter 1. I knew this, and at one point I had this, but I had 6,000 words. So I separated into 2 chapters, had the murder happen at the end of chapter 2, and then I went and cut a bunch of stuff from chapter 1 and did not combine them back into one. So I basically sat and did this, started working on it. One of her big points for me was you don't describe your characters very well. And there's a good chance that there are going to be people who pick up this book without reading book 1. You have to reintroduce your characters. You have to describe them better. You don't have to give height, weight, body type of every character one right after another like a list, but you have to make them distinctive from each other. And I really worked hard on this. I think I did a pretty good job of it with this rewrite. By the time I was finished, again, I was there a good 3 hours. I had not finished the edit of chapter 1, but I was a long way through it. Very happy with it, actually. It's one of the, so the way that I look at this is the same way that I edited back with my mom when she edited my first book for me. And I know you're not supposed to have friends or family, do your editing, do your reading, but you guys have never met my mom. I would send her a chapter and she would just rip it apart. And my reaction was always the same. Even though I never said this out loud to anyone, my reaction was the same to that my reaction is to when C sends me this developmental edit. It's almost like the 5 stages of grief. It's like you get it and you're like, no, mine, I don't like that. Mine's better. Yeah, and then you read it again and go, yeah, I guess this could make sense. I'm not sure. And then you rewrite it and go, wow, this is way better. So that's there's always a little bit of a no, mine's, what are you talking about? You didn't like it. Mine's better. And then by the time you're done, you're like, oh yeah, I get what she's saying here. That's definitely good. So that was how I started rewriting it in the evening. Didn't do much of anything. I did play my football game. I worked on my writing app, and you're going to notice this is going to be a very big theme over the last couple weeks, over the next couple weeks. But I was on the couch by 6:30, stayed there until bedtime, mostly just watching YouTube and football. Yesterday, I went to Panera. I know I said I wasn't going to talk long about this, but there's a lot of writing stuff in here. Yesterday, I went to Panera and continued my rewrite. I did finish the chapter 1, the bringing together chapter 1 and 2 into one chapter. And it's about 3,600 words. And what I'm kind of going to do here is I'm going to rewrite chapter 1 and 2, which combining 1 and 2 into one, and then taking chapter 3 and rewriting that as chapter 2, because that's where a lot of the introductions come in. And this is where C told me, you're going to have readers pick up book 2 without having read book 1. You need to reintroduce your main characters. Don't give away what happened, because I did give away. Oh yeah, when they were looking at the murder and I would name him, they're like, no, don't give away what happened in chapter 1 in this book 1 in this book, because if people do pick it up, you want them to go back and read book 1 without being spoiled. So I started working on chapter 2. What I'm going to do then is, like I said, I'm going to combine chapters 1 and 2 into chapter 1. I'm going to rewrite chapter 3 as chapter 2. And then I'm going to get into kind of a plot type of thing, how I'm going to redo the Juliet murder and how I'm going to redo Madison as an evil character. And I took your advice last podcast that I wrote to C, and I said, where's it at? Here, I can just go here. I said to her, hey, can I send you an outline of book 3 instead of sending you an edited draft? That way you can take a look at the outline. And before I do any editing, can you just go over this as kind of a developmental edit? And she wrote back and said she absolutely can. In fact, she said that's the best way to work. Where's it at? She said, I do work on outlines, and it's the best way to work, particularly for mystery. So it's to avoid story and structural edits. Normally, the writer sends a chapter-by-chapter summary, not an overall synopsis, but actually a chapter-by-chapter, which can just be a few sentences each. She said that allows her to see a lot of things, plot and structure, whether the revelations fall in the right places, if they're repeated character actions. She said, I can tell if the acts are well built, if you need more excitement in certain places, or if the evidence makes sense. She said there's normally a back and forth with the outline after she points anything out, and then we can just brainstorm. She charges $250 for this. And then she said if I want her to read the draft before the copy edit, it'd be another $200. But if not, we go right into the copy edit and you just pay for that like normal. So I'm definitely doing this. In fact, what I told her was I will be sending chapter 3 over to her at some point, maybe at the end of January. She said she only needs about a week's notice for something like this. So I will let her know a week out. Hey, I'm going to send you chapter 3. It's kind of a paragraph by paragraph. The first draft is done, but this is going to be my chapter by chapter, what's happening. And then she'll do a developmental on that for 250. We go back and forth. And believe me, she is so open to going back and forth. She will answer any email that I have with her. She's fantastic. She's so good. Her website is in the show notes of this thing. I think it's cb-more, C as in cat, B as in boy, -more.com. But just Google CB More editor and you'll find her. She's great. And if you do, tell her that you got it from Rich and I, and we would appreciate that. So anyway, so I'm going to look into that, but what I'm going to do after I do the rewrite of chapters 1, 2, and 3 as 1 and 2 is do that outline, and I'm going to send it back over to her because she said, hey, you did a development edit. If you want to send me a chapter by chapter outline of what you're going to do in the rewrite, she says, I'm happy to look it over. It's part of your development plan. So that's great. Boy, I'm talking a lot here. I ran a couple errands. So I did finish chapter 1, ran it through Grammarly. I had Word read it out loud to me. It was 3,470 words. I got the death at the end of it, so I'm really happy about that. And I'm calling it done. Unless I need to make changes to it later, I'm calling it finished. So chapter 1's rewrite is finished. One other thing that she said, by the way, is that there's a part in the end where I have one of the Carrie, who is the main POV in the first chapter. He's also accused. He's Sam's best friend. I have him escaping from the police, and there's 3 chapters of him working with Sam. And that's the chapters I was going to cut when I was doing the edit. And then I really liked it, so I kept it in. She said, yeah, cut it. She said it makes the police look silly, which it kind of does. That isn't why I was going to cut it. I just thought it was overkill. It was too much. But then I started reading it, and I really liked it. But I'm going to cut those 3 chapters. That'll help get the word count down, too. Yeah. So, So let's see. What else yesterday? I got home. I watched football. I worked on my writing app all day. And I went to bed around 10:30. And then this morning I woke up at 4:15 because the wind was so bad that I couldn't sleep. It was blowing against my window, my air conditioner. Max was awake the whole time. So I just said, screw it. I'm just going to get up. So I got up at 4:15. At lunch, I went across the street and started working on chapter 2, which is old chapter 3. I didn't get very far with it, and then came back here and, worked the rest of the day, and I've been working on my writing app since about 4:30 and until we podcast. And that's kind of where I am right now. And I know I said I wasn't going to talk long about last week's recap, but I guess I had a lot of writing stuff to talk about. So.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you made me exhausted just by listening to all that.
Great.
And yeah, the same thing down here. And we had it was really windy, and we don't get wind down here unless we have hurricanes or something. But yeah, just normal wind. It woke me up too. I was up at 5. Although my New Year's resolution, one of them is to get up at 5 every day instead of sleeping until 6:30 or 7.
I tried that once.
Well, what I want to do
that works out for you.
I want to get up at 5, have something really quick for breakfast, and then go to the gym. My gym opens up at 4. Go to the gym, get that out of the way before I go to work. And I'll feel like the days I've already accomplished something.
What time does work start?
9.
9, okay.
Yeah, so I can fit that all in there. Well, my last 10 days, roughly a week to 10 days, I was just holiday stuff with family. I mean, it was kind of a drudgery getting up there. It took 2 days to drive up there, 2 days to drive back. Spent 3 days with the family. Could have been about 4 or 5 hours, and I was done with the family already. Nobody was in a good mood this year, and we were sitting at the table, me and my brother. After dinner, and he looked out, and my wife and my mother were arguing over another. Were getting mad at each other, doing. I don't even know what they were doing. But my brother looked over at me and he goes, "Yep, time for the women to get angry."
Okay.
So yeah, I mean that kind of just sums it all up. It was kind of nice to get home, back to peace and quiet. I am looking forward to the end of the week because my son and daughter-in-law are flying into New Orleans on January 1st. To drive down there and pick them up, and they'll be here over the weekend, and so that'll be nice. But other than that, didn't do nothing. I had an enjoyable drive. The drives were nice, and it was quiet, and we listened to a book, The Reading List, that is going to be my book club book in January. Next week I'll have to lead the discussion on it. So I've listened to the audiobook, which is really good. It was done like a full production with players for, I think there's 3 major players in it that they did voices for. So 3 different points of view. So that worked out really well. I'll probably kind of read it again over the weekend just to refresh myself on it a little bit. Especially since a couple times during the drive when my wife is driving, I may have nodded off for a chapter or 2.
Sure.
Not exactly sure what was going on there. But yeah, so that was my week. It was kind of, in some ways it was relaxing, in some ways it was a pain in the butt, but I am looking forward to the new year, getting back at it and doing some things writing wise. I did put down, I cleaned up my future list of things to do because I crossed a lot of them out and some of them I just dropped. And right now, the only thing I have on it is just to learn how to use Substack correctly. And I've got a couple of women, a Sarah Faye and a Linda Carroll, who there's apparently 2 major ways that people use Substack. One of them is, here, it's my Substack. This is how you can make money with Substack. It's all this kind of stuff. Monetizing thing. And the other kind of people are those who are writers and literary people, and they're interested in getting people to read their writing, and that's the kind of Substack I would like to develop. And so I'm going to dive into their posts and their thoughts on how to correctly use Substack and see if I can come up with a way that'll work for me. But we'll have to see what happens with that.
Yeah, mine is just the 2 items that are on there. And it's just courses, the Amazon Ads course, and then the Dave Chesson stuff that I bought a couple months ago. Just go through the videos, and when I have some time, just go through everything. I'm curious. You said there were 2 ways that authors use Substack. Which way are you looking to use it, or do you not know?
I'm looking to use it more as just building a reading audience and not thinking about monetizing anything in particular. You can use Substack gets used a little bit like Patreon is being used, where for writers, where you can have people read some of your stuff and other stuff is paywalled. You can do Substack like that, or you can do Substack more like having an open Patreon, I guess, where there is no paywall on anything. So I'm gonna just kind of investigate those 2 different ways of doing it. The idea is, for me anyways, would be just to pre-publication build up an audience based on short writings that I do.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
But I can't really give too many details because I don't really understand it yet.
Right. My Addicted To is basically just working on this writing app. I'm really having a lot of fun with it. And it's actually something that I think I'm going to be able to use at least for book 3. I don't know about for book 2. But definitely, I'm pretty confident about book 3. I do have all of book 1 in there right now, so every chapter's in there. I started working on this, entering stuff into the story Bible based on, you can ask AI for stuff in the app, or I can pull out of the story Bible that the one editor did for me, edits by Tony, earlier this year. I did see an email from her, which was a little bit disappointing, where she said she is raising her prices. And it wasn't just like I'm raising them a little bit. She said, where is it? I'm surprised at this. But she said, where'd it go? Here it is. Where'd it go? This means, what am I doing this? This means for the price. Okay. I know it says in here somewhere that she's doubling her editing costs. And she's tripling her story Bible's cost.
Huh.
That doesn't seem right to me because I paid like $400. She's going to charge $1,200 for a story Bible. That doesn't seem right to me. So I might look into a little bit more. I really, really like what she did for me.
Right.
But I'm not going to pay that much more for something like that.
Yeah,
so
could well be she finally sat down and realized how much time it was taking her to do what she was doing.
She did say in here that her prices are much lower than others that do the same thing, which, I mean, Super Editor C is the same way. She's raising hers, I think, by like a penny or a tenth of a penny per word for developmental edit.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I think in 2026, she's doing that. So, it's the same thing. I really want to find this because I don't want to speak out of turn, but I know I saw double and triple in here. Maybe I need to just hold on a second. I need to search this because I don't want to get this wrong. Oh yeah, right here. It says prices are doubling for editorial evaluations and tripling for story Bibles in 2026. So
Wow.
again, I paid $400 for a story Bible. I don't want to pay $1,200. That's never
Right.
going to happen. So,
Right.
but we'll see. I'm on her mailing list. I like her mailing list. So I'm going to stay on there and see what she has to say. But that would be very surprising if that was true.
That would be a big jump, unless
Yeah.
unless she's being slammed with work and she's trying to find, what's the price point that I can charge where I have enough work and making some money at it. So
yeah. So basically, just working on my my writing app has been the addicted to it. It's every day at some point, even if it's like an hour in the morning or if it's like a couple hours in the evening. Every day I work on it in some way.
I put down my addicted to as being anxiety, but that's mainly because of the trip and the family interactions. Now that I've been home, actually today I was. It just goes to show you how bad the week was. I was really looking forward to going to work. So, and it was a great day at work. It was nice and quiet and calm. And yeah, so I'm feeling a lot better than I did coming back.
Good. That's good. All right. So looking at my schedule for this coming week, tomorrow I'm working from home. Nothing planned writing wise, but at lunch I may head across the street again to continue working on my book 2 changes. What I really want to do is I want to finish up this rewrite of chapter 3 as now chapter 2. And then I want to sit down and start planning the changes for the other stuff. I am off Wednesday. It's New Year's Eve. I will definitely probably go to Chick-fil-A in the morning and really work on this. Thursday, I'm off, obviously, for New Year's Day. And I don't know what's going to be open, but I'm hoping something is. Maybe Panera will be open. And I'll continue along the way. Friday, I'm working from home. Nothing planned. But again, I'm sure I'll work on the writing app and the games in the evening. I'll play the games in the evening. But maybe at lunch, I'll head across the street again. And then Saturday, I'll continue with book 2 in the morning, whatever changes I'm working on. I'll get to that in a second. The writing app in the afternoon, playing some games in the evening. Again, it's a theme here. Writing app, games. Since I can't golf, writing app and playing games is really what I'm doing now. And then Sunday, it's week 18 of the NFL season. I'll only have 2 fantasy leagues going at that time, and neither of them will be that important to me. All the big stuff is over. So who knows how much I'll actually pay attention. I'll definitely hit Panera in the morning to continue with this book 2 stuff. And then Monday, I would like to be back in the office depending on the weather. I'll be back now to 40-hour work weeks, at least through January, but we'll talk about that in a second. 5 days a week, 2 days in the office, all the normal stuff that we do during the year that's not holidays. So I'd like to do Monday, Thursday as much as I can, but the weather does not look great for Monday and Tuesday, so I might go Tuesday, Thursday that week. I'm not sure yet. But either way, at lunch, I'll continue with the book 2 stuff. The goal is really have chapter 1 and chapter 2 complete. Chapter 1's already finished. I've already started chapter 2. And then I want to have a chapter-by-chapter summary, maybe 1 paragraph, a few sentences for each chapter that shows how I'm going to rewrite this for C, and I'm going to send it off to her so that she can take a look at this outline and make sure that, in her mind, I'm doing everything correctly. So,
right.
Yeah.
For me this coming week, except for New Year's Day, right now I'll be working every day through Saturday. I do have Sunday off coming up. Possibly a lot of times the mayor will shut down city employees early on the New Year's Eve. We'll just have to see what happens. And just because he shuts it down doesn't mean we're going to shut the library down. If we've already posted hours, we'll probably have to work those hours. So we'll just get comp time for it later on. I've got really nothing special on my calendar this week on the home front. Anyways, I know tomorrow morning I'm going to get up, since I don't have to go in until noon. I'll probably get up and dig some post holes. As you'll see later on, I'm trying to finish off the fence around the perimeter of the yard. It is supposed to dip into into the 20s, high 20s. Not tomorrow morning, I don't think. I think Wednesday morning. So that may keep me indoors. I may not want to do that. In terms of the writing front, I still consider myself to be on vacation until January 1st. Probably actually until next Monday. But what I will be doing this week while I'm working and having time to screw around is doing that deep dive into Substack and see if I can figure out exactly how I want to use it, who I want to pattern myself after, and see if I can maybe develop some metrics or some goals to keep me moving forward on actually doing things there. But yeah, that's me for the week.
Okay. All right, so that's it for the podcast. Let's jump into our goals here for 2026. I tried to kind of pattern mine the same way that I did last year. We'll start with the new words, writing new words. 2 years ago it was 250,000. Last year it was 145,000. This year it's considerably less because I'm going to spend a lot of time editing. I mean, I've got all these first drafts written, so I'm going to do a lot of editing and publishing. But I still don't want to not write. I want to write. I don't want to lose the skill that I thought I had before I got the developmental edit. And
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that. So I created a goal of 45,000 new words. I don't really know where they're to come from yet. I know part of it will come from the fact that I have to write book 4.5 at some point, second half of the year. But I think what I may do is, I'm always thinking like Agatha Christie. So I think what I might do here is I might take one of the side characters he's a private detective. He's kind of a weird guy. Big fat guy, just a whale of a guy, kind of gross, the black sheep of the family. And he actually helps Sam. Linus is one of the side characters. It's his uncle, lives in Atlanta. I may write like a series of short stories, maybe have like 4 to 6 short stories and just make it a book. So it's a book of short stories about this guy that can just be sold anytime along the way. It's not part of the series. You just read it off to the side. So I may do something like that. I think that's where I'm leaning right now. Who knows if that changes, but I think that's where I'm leaning right now with the 45,000 new words. In terms of my existing book goals, all the first drafts I have, this is a tough one. Again, the only real concrete goal I'm going to do with this is write the first draft of 4.5 because everything else is written. And I'm not going to make a goal on these short stories. I'm just going to say book 4.5 the second half of the year because I'll need that eventually when I'm ready. Publishing goals. Again, this is a tough one because I'm not sure how long each book is going to take to edit. Books 1 and 2 were long. They were 90,000 words, and I had to cut them down a little bit, go through and edit them. The rest of these first drafts are like 30 to 40,000. They're going to be like 60,000 words, but they shouldn't take as long as these, as the first 2 did to edit. So really, here are my goals basically for this year. Re-upload book 1 with a couple of small changes that reflect things happening down the road in the series. Just a couple sentences here and there. Edit and get book 1.5 onto BookFunnel. Publish book 2 sometime, hopefully in February. And I'm probably going to do a 1-week pre-order where I put it up as a pre-order. I post in my, Facebook group, and maybe I try to run a couple of ads or something to it just to get people to do the pre-order. Publish book 3 sometime in the summer, and then have book 4 at least ready to send to the editor by the end of the year. If I can publish it, great, but have book 4 ready to send to the editor by the end of the year is kind of the plan there. In terms of marketing, again, this is a tough one because I have no plan right now. I do have a call with a woman from England who I met through Reedsy to determine whether we want to work with each other to set up a marketing plan. I have that call on January 5th, so next Tuesday, a week from tomorrow. Once I talk to her, I might have a better idea of what the marketing plan is, and I'll update these goals once I go through that. And then finally, my writing software that I'm working on. I mean, I love this. This is a lot of fun. The goal is to have this done or 99% of the way and to be using it full time by the end of the year. And I'm actually pretty close to be able to start using it soon. And like I said, when I have it up online and I feel good about it, I'll send you an email.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and go in there if
Definitely.
you want to. Let's go to my financial goals. I did talk last time about my 2025 goal that I wasn't sure if I would hit in terms of my house being below 45,000, balance being below 45,000. Right now it's at like 46.1. I've decided to go ahead and make a payment this coming Wednesday when I get paid. 2 days from now I get paid. That will be large enough to get it under that goal. So that goal is going to be considered a success. And with that in mind, I'm starting this year with my house as my only debt, thanks to the Dave Ramsey plan that I've been working on for 7 years. Kind of. I've strayed a lot from it, but I've kind of stuck to it as best I could. And in the Dave Ramsey plan, he says 4 to 6 months of emergency fund expenses. And then you go to pay off your house. That's what he says. You get 4 to 6 months, then you put all your money toward your house. Then you save money after that. Mm-hmm. I think I want a little bit more in my emergency fund. Yeah. Right now I'm at 6 months. And I think I want more for a couple of different reasons. But the big reason is I watched my buddy Jeff, who is 5 days younger than me, who I worked with at our previous job. I watched him in February get laid off and then take 5.5 months to find a new job.
Right.
And that kind of worries me a little bit. I don't think I'm going to get laid off. I mean, you never want to feel comfortable. Right now, I think we're fine. But I still want to be okay there. So based on all of that, what I'm going to do in terms of my financial goals is I'm going to I want my emergency fund to be at least 9 months, which means I have to take 3 months this year and put money into it. And that's probably going to be the first 3 months this year. I want my house balance to be below 40,000, meaning if I hit 39,999.99, that's considered, or lower, that's a success. Like I said, I get paid later this week. I'll make a payment. That'll take the balance down to around 44,300. So getting below 40,000 would probably be about 3 months worth of payments. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, I desperately need a new driveway. I got a few quotes this past summer. Cost around $7,000 were the quotes. It's not cement. It's blacktop. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's not cement. It's blacktop. Asphalt. Thank you. So that'll be cheaper. I've lived in this house since 2001. I've never done anything to it. It's just fallen apart, and I need a new driveway. Where I've been parking my car for the last 23 years is now sinking. And my having an electric car, which is heavier, isn't helping at all. So basically what I'm going to do at some point is I'm going to take 3 months worth of paychecks, and I'm going to put it toward getting a new driveway. Then that leaves me 3 months worth of bills, most of which will go toward Vegas in September. 3 months worth of paychecks, mm-hmm. which I haven't accounted for yet. That'll go to Vegas, and then the rest of it will probably go to my house payment once I'm ready to do that. So again, 9 months worth of an emergency fund, get the house below 40,000, and I need a new driveway. Those are the 3 goals that I've set financially. Other random items, in terms of my writing schedule, a year and a half ago is when it became a consistent 5 or 6 days, when I was doing a lot of Friday half days, and I want to keep that going. I can start doing half days on February 6th of this year, meaning I have to work all of January like normal. And then on February 6th, I take a half day every week the rest of the year where there's no holidays. But I will say right now that I'm probably going to take January 9th because I'm working on this book 2 rewrite. And I want to have a little bit of extra time as I'm working through it. And then I'll just steal a half a day from somewhere else throughout the year and delete it. And I'll just use it on January 9th. And then it's a full week, and then we have MLK Day, so that's another week where I'll have an extra day. And then it's a full week, and then February 6th comes along, and I can start doing half days pretty routinely. But I want to stick to that schedule. I want to keep doing the half days. I'm going on one vacation. It's Vegas. I'll take 2 days, 2 full days, and I'll have 18 other days, which is 36 half days, to then spread out throughout the year. Because I keep hearing people talk about, I'm going to go on a cruise, I'm going to go to Florida, I'm going to do this. I'd like to go to Myrtle for a golf trip, but I really like these half days more than anything else. They are helping me big time when it comes to writing.
There's a lot to be said to shortening up the work week a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially mine, because I work 7 to 11. So by 11 a.m., I'm done. Right. So I basically have my whole day, which is great. A couple other random goals. I have my golf goals because I always do. I want to stay single digit handicap in the golf league this year, which means be 9 or lower. I want to break 80 at least once. Last year I broke 80 from the white tees. The white tees are the seniors tees. It's about 700 yards shorter of a course from there. I want to break it from the men's tees, from the blue tees this year. I've been close a few times, 81, 82 here and there. I want to get 79 from the blue tees this year at least once. And then, of course, I have hole in one, because why wouldn't you want to get a hole in one as one of my goals? And I'll just keep that on here every year until I actually hit it. Someday I think I will. And then a new one, Rich, a fun one, something that I just threw in here that you can't really use a number to determine whether it's a pass or a fail. But I am going to do my best this year to embrace January. I hate January. It's cold. It's snowy. I have to drive in the snow in the dark, going home and going to work in the morning. And I'm working every day, which now I'm kind of not as much now. And, I just hate looking outside and seeing this crappy weather that I'm looking at right now. So again, my goal, just be happy every day in January that I'm waking up and that I get to write and I get to be a computer programmer, all the stuff I like to do. And I have a dog and a house.
And one thing you can say to yourself about every single day in January is that the number of hours of daylight is getting longer and longer and longer.
I've already looked at the sunrise sunset times. I did it this morning. I'll probably do it more because you are 100% right. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yep. I've already thought of that myself.
And those are my goals.
Sounds good. Sounds like it'll be a productive year. My writing goals, To start the year, I've only really got 2 new writing projects in mind at the moment. One is the second book in the thriller series, and the other will be a novella for the thriller series. I think I talked about that a little bit last time we podcasted. Taken together, that might be around 100,000 new words, maybe a little bit less. So that's kind of like the floor on new words for this year, be 100,000 for me. There is a chance that if everything goes right, I'll find myself midsummer with the thriller books actually done and edited. And if that happens, then I'm going to have to move over into my cozy mystery series that I've started, where I already have 2 books in first draft. I would like to have a novella for marketing purposes with that. And I might even write a 3rd book. If I do all of that together, then that would probably end up being another 100,000 words, new words for the year. And then I also have an itch to just get back into writing some short stories. Nothing in my current worlds, just maybe some speculative fiction, maybe some literary stuff, who knows. Maybe one every 2 months or so, depending on how I want to do a decent job of these. I write a lot of flash fiction kind of stuff that really you end up with garbage at the other end. It's fun to do, but it's kind of garbage. I'd like to give these some actual thought and some care in drafting them. Maybe get them to the point where I could send them out to some of the short story outlets for publication. And I probably target somewhere around 5,000 or 6,000 per story on those. So that'd be another 36, 35, 40,000 words or whatever. So, if I do all of that, I'll end up with another 240,000 words for the year, which is basically the same thing that I had as a target for 2025. But I'm going to be happy with anything over 100,000 in terms of new words. Because on my existing books, like I said last time, I'm sitting on 5 first drafts. I haven't gone back and edited yet. And all of them need a minimum of a second pass. Some of them are going to need more than that. So unless I get bogged down somewhere along the line in any one of these, my plan of attack is going to be to start the year editing thriller number 1, the one I just did. And I'll do that before I start writing a novella or start writing the second one in the series, because I know there are some things that I have to straighten out in that first thriller, because I kind of started it in one direction and I ended up in another direction at the end. So I'm going to have to edit and do some new writing for that. So I'm going to give myself the entire first quarter of the year to work on that thriller number 1, and also to get a first draft of a novella and possibly thriller number 2. If I do accomplish that in the first quarter, the second quarter plus is going to be going back to those cozy mysteries I was writing at the beginning of the year. And just going to go ahead and give them an edit and allocate maybe a month to each. I'm going to try to push myself through them. They're a little bit shorter than this thriller was. I don't think there were more than about 50,000 words off the top of my head, as I recall. And once that's finished, I'll write a quick novella, probably a very short novella. And because I have to take into account the time I'm going to spend on spring gardening and the related things, it's going to take me at least through June to do all that, and probably longer. If all of that gets done, then I'm going to go romance number 1 and number 2 at the very end of the year. Those are going to need a bunch of work because, romance is not my genre. It's something I want to play with. I may have to do some more reading in the genre just to get a better feel for how to do it. And interestingly enough, when this first draft of thriller number 1 turned out to be just short of 100,000 words, and had some 33 chapters, I think, maybe 34. So it's running right around 3,000 words a chapter. I started the book today on my way into work, audiobook. It's a thriller. It's a cyber crime thriller. I've listened in an hour. I've listened to over 10 chapters in this book. Since an hour of spoken word is somewhere in the neighborhood of 9,000 words. That means these chapters are running on the order of 900 words. And I could tell that as they were going through. It would get to the end of a chapter, and I go, well, we just started the chapter, but they're starting a new chapter. So my chapters in the thriller I wrote are probably way too long. They really need to be cut back and pared down so that it's got more of a thriller vibe. And this cybercrime thriller, really, I mean, it's moving fast, really fast. Now it'll be interesting to see it once we get into the meat of the story, whether it continues like that or not. But in case you're interested, the title of the book is Ruth, Run, and yeah, it was put out by Penguin, so it's not an independent press, and it got a big push at the beginning of the year, I believe, or maybe the end of 2024, and it was. The last I checked, it wasn't too high up in the Kindle rankings. It was like 100,000 or something like that, but it wasn't languishing either. It wasn't in the millions. So we'll see how it goes. What I think about it towards the end, I'll probably drop in some tidbits from it as we go along. But that word count thing was what really stood out to me so far. In terms of publishing goals, right now I'm not 100% sure I'm going to have any book at all to publish. I am going to get them through my second pass in terms of writing, but then I'm going to have to go ahead and actually, I don't know why I got your stuff in here. I wrote mine stuff in there and I forgot to take your stuff out. But anyways, yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to get anything to publish or not. We're just going to see what happens. Marketing goals. I've pretty much pulled out of social media marketing altogether. I still have that Blue Sky account. I look at it mainly to just read what other people are saying and not really to do much of my own independent posting. So in terms of soft marketing, I guess my only focus in 2026 is going to be the Substack, which has a social media component to it called Notes. I may do a little bit on that, but I'm really going to try to stick to long form social media marketing, which is not something a whole lot of people do. And I'm only going to do anything if once I get deep into Substack, I see that I'm going to be able to clone everything I'm doing there over onto my own site. Because I tell you the truth, right now I don't trust any of these sites at all to be anywhere near what they are now in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
So I need to be able to clone everything, especially the email addresses and all my posts and stuff. And depending on how easy or hard that is, depends on how much time I put into it. Hard marketing, if I do any of it in terms of ads and things like that, it'll be when the novels actually reach the publishing stage. Now, writing software, I wrote down here that I'm waiting anxiously to beta test your software. Because I really want to see.
I'll have something online for you maybe later by the end of the week because it's so close to being ready to be online.
Okay,
at least online. And then I'll take any suggestions you have.
Okay, because I'm really interested to see how it would compare with what I'm doing right now, which is using Typing Mind, which is basically my AI interface, and WaveMaker for doing the writing, and using Scrivener, as I said earlier, as a place to keep offline copies. And also, that's where I'm going to be doing my editing, is in Scrivener.
Okay.
I'm also going to refamiliarize myself at some point later in the year, if I do get close to publishing, with Vellum. I haven't looked at Vellum in years. I bought a lifetime license to it. And they've had so many updates since then. A lot of them, from what I could see, have been kind of cosmetic, but it'll be interesting to see what the program can do now compared to what it used to do. Financial goals are just really a couple of things I'm interested in doing this year. One, I talked about last time, which is to pay off my home equity loan. That's going to happen before mid-January. I just have to wait for January to come in order to shift some money around and pay that off. So then I'll be debt-free from then on out.
So jealous.
Yeah,
very nice, very nice.
It'll be the second or third time I've been debt free because I kind of bounce in and out.
Yeah.
I'm also going to start saving this year for our big blowout 40th anniversary trip in 2028. I'm not sure if I mentioned that or not, but I'm hoping to take at least a 6-week road trip up to Alaska and back. And,
wow.
Yeah, so between now and then, that's about 30 months from now, probably when we would go. I'm going to put aside about $200 a month for that, build up a little bit of a nest egg. $6,000 probably won't do the trip, but it'll be get close to it. The bigger challenge is going to be saving up the vacation time for it. If I don't take any vacation time from now until June of 2028, I'll have 8 weeks of vacation time saved up.
It rolls over for you?
Yeah, it rolls over up to like 1,000 hours worth.
Okay.
So if I do take any time off between now and June of 2028, I'm going to have to do it as sick leave. which is fine because during that time I will also have earned 8 weeks of sick leave, and so I can burn that off slowly over time. If I can save up the time, then the next challenge will be to get the library to agree that they're going to let me take 2 months off straight. And they may or may not want to do that. If they're really hardcore about it and they don't want to do that, I'm going to try to ingratiate myself to them, make myself indispensable.
I thought you've already done that.
Well, yeah. Well, my old branch manager called me, super reference guy. But I've got a new branch manager, so I got to reinitiate her.
Oh man, you can start over. Okay.
And she may be here for a little while. So yeah, I've got to start over with that. Worst comes to worst, I'll just resign. And if I've got a good enough reputation, then I could probably get hired back on when I came back.
Probably.
Yeah. I've got no real plans for vacation this year of any kind at all. I mean, maybe once or twice we'll go to see family, but I usually just tie that to my normal days off. And just go for little quick hits. So nothing short term to really say from that perspective. Other random things like I got finished the fencing around the yard. That project really got out of control in terms of design and what I was doing with it, execution. I've got 18 more post holes to dig. I actually dug 3 in an hour before I left for Christmas. So that shouldn't take too much longer, but I'm doing it all by hand, so it does take a little bit. But I definitely want to get those post holes dug and have the posts sunk in them and concreted in before the heat of summer hits. And then all it'll have to be is just section by section going ahead and putting up the fence boards. And that's not too bad of a job even in the heat of summer. Vegetable gardening, I'm going to cut back a little bit this year and shift most of it off the driveway into the back of the yard near the greenhouse, so I can reclaim my driveway. Who knows how much of that will actually happen. It probably won't be totally completed this year, but at least some of it will. Mainly because a lot of that garden back there has to be dug up by hand and all the roots and things pulled out of it because we just let it go and trees were growing in there and everything else. So I cut down. And then the last thing is, if I get to it, is to finish refurbishing the greenhouse. I got maybe 25% of the floor left to relay, and I'm going to start on the roofs and the sides. Not really replacing the roof and sides, but we're going to try to make it more of a 4-season greenhouse. Right now, we can only really use it from spring through fall because there's no way to trap the heat in it. So I'm going to probably put up glass panels and things like that. And that's going to be my year. If I get even close to any of that stuff done, it'll be a really hectic and a really productive year.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, I'm going to make 2 points. Point number 1, the way that your collar is sitting with the 2 brown stripes, it looks like you have hair laying down, and I think that's hilarious. Number 2, I love that we came out of 2025, the 2 of us, with like 13 first drafts and a couple of novellas first drafts. Like I don't think we did that on purpose. Like we planned for that much. Right. But I love that we came out of 2025 with all these books now that we can start working on to publish. It's great.
Right. Collectively, we had over 400,000 new words. Yeah. That's great. It was a good year.
Now it's just a matter of trying to publish something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the hard part. So real quick, so that's going to be the end of the podcast. But real quick, I wanted to mention something in the stuff to share section. I didn't write in here. I just remembered it. I remember I had done some Instagram posts where I didn't want to like get tricky. I didn't want to try to be creative. I just wanted to be like, if something comes to me, I'm going to post about it. And if not, I'm not going to worry about it, with the hope of trying to attract people to see the posts so that, down the road, if I want to post about a book, I can do that. Right. And so the first 2 posts I made were, I did a picture of the moon where I mentioned something about grandma got run over by a reindeer. And that got 245 views. The next one was, I have Max as a puppy playing in the snow, throwing a toy around in the snow. And I have the Beatles song, Obla Di Obla Da, playing. And I just wrote on there, I imagine this is what's going through his head as he's playing. 184 views. It's not very many, but it was easy. It took me, 3 minutes to create the post. It's a reel. And then I posted it and people saw it. That was kind of cool. Then the next 2, I have an Alf stuffed animal. And I have this shelf up here, and I wrote Alf on a shelf. Instead of elf on a shelf, I wrote Alf on a shelf. 27 views. Puzzling. And then I did a video a couple days ago on December 26th. I took a picture of my Sirius XM in my car, and it has Dateline True Crime Mysteries. And I wrote, now that it's December 26th, no more Mariah Carey, let's go back to murder, which I thought was funny. 24 views. And I'm confused. I'm like, why did those two posts only get that many views? Today, out of nowhere, I did one, and it's a picture of Hamilton Burger from Perry Mason in black and white. And I wrote, if it's not a Hamilton Burger episode, I'm not interested. This was like 2 hours ago, 143 views already. It's like, I don't understand what I did with those other two posts that they got 27 and 24, but these other three are getting like in the hundreds, 3 digits. I don't know, but I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm wondering right now, this is going to sound kind of weird, but I'm wondering if I should tailor my posts toward who I want my reader to be. Meaning the 3 posts that got a lot of views, one of them was Grandma Got Run Over by the Reindeer. That's a song that came out in the 80s. I was a kid. One of them was about Hamilton Burger, a TV show that came out in the 50s and 60s. And another one was about a Beatles song that came out in the 60s. The 2 that didn't get many views was Dateline True Crime, and Alf, which was, I guess, 80s. But I'm wondering if, and I actually have gotten 2 likes now from people since we started that I don't know who they are. Like, I have no idea who these people are. They gave me, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I'm wondering if I should tailor these posts toward my interests of like the Andy Griffith Show and the Golden Girls and Perry Mason, like old school mysteries. Maybe Columbo is in there. Maybe Murder, She Wrote is in there. Because those are the people who are going to like them. And those are the people that are likely to read my books. Right. I think. I would definitely. In fact, that's one of the things that I have gained reading a little bit about Substack is the difference between people who collect a lot of followers and people who don't. It's all about whether their posts are kind of on topic and related to what their writing is about. And yeah, I mean, you've got plenty of things that you can go back to and pull. Monk. You could pull stuff from the show Monk. Yeah, I would definitely lean into the mystery stuff for sure. All right, I'm not necessarily mystery from 2025, but I'm thinking mystery from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, because that's the older generation that I think are probably more likely to read my book than a bunch of 17. Right. And you can, you can even test some newer stuff and see if it goes or not. And if you could possibly pull clips up from mysteries that had pets in them, like dogs or cats, that would be even better. Well, I need that. See, I lost my BritBox. I didn't resubscribe on the 26th for next year, but there's an episode of Perot where there's a dog named Bob throughout the whole thing, and that probably would have been a good one because you're right about that. That's the one with the old lady who was poisoned with. Yes. And there's also woman that falls down the stairs. Also an episode with Poirot about with a parrot too. Remember that one? Oh yeah, in the end he puts the cover over it, tries to make it disappear. Yeah, that's right. I got to figure out which. You're right. Yeah, maybe I'll go back to BritBox. Maybe it'll be worth $85 for a year just to get some posts out of it. Actually, that's not bad because there's probably other shows in there, that I could hey, I'm watching this for the first time type of things. Right. Yeah, that might be an investment. That might be an investment in my Instagram account. So yeah, definitely. Okay. You can write it off. You can write it off on your taxes. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So, all right. So do you have anything you want to share? No, other than the fact that, unfortunately, next week we'll probably have to record on Wednesday because Monday night I'm working 2 nights in a row, late shift. So, other than that. All right, so look for the next episode on January, whatever that is. Oh, that's the 6th, I want to say. It'll be the 7th, I believe. The 7th? Okay, because I had that call on the 5th. Yeah, that's Monday. So, then I have it on the 6th. Okay, so I have the call on the 6th, so then on the 7th. So look for the next episode on Wednesday. And we're probably going to float between Mondays and Wednesdays, depending on what we're doing each week. But that seems to be pretty working out for us. Yeah, it works. So, sure. Yeah, I think we can go ahead and do that. So that's it. That's going to be it for the podcast. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me, jerry@jerryevanoff.com. The website is jerryevanoff.com. And just because I've never said it on the podcast before, the Instagram is jerrye25, JERRYE25. If you want to follow me there, I'll put it in the show notes. Feel free to follow me there. That's good enough.
Okay. And me, if you want to email me, I'm at rich@richcasey.com. And I'm still on Blue Sky at Casey himself.
All right, everyone, that's going to be it for this week. We will talk to you all in 9 days. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and good luck, Jerry, tonight.
Oh, yeah, it's not going well so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Too bad.
All right. See y'all later.
All right. Bye-bye.